When it comes to living life, there's a lot to overthink, but I don't ever have to overthink my water. I've been drinking Smart Water for years and truly love its pure, crisp taste. It's vapor distilled through a process inspired by clouds. I love chic branding, and Smart Water's sleek bottle shape makes it the perfect accessory for any day bag, workout tote, or backpack. Smart Water is the smart way to hydrate no matter what you have going on in your life. Life is full of choices. Smart Water is a simple one. Visit drinksmartwater.com to learn more.
Hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of you relaxing, because now you're managing diabetes with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. You get to know your glucose levels and where it's headed. Manage your diabetes with more confidence with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. Ready to learn more about the #1 prescribed CGM in the U.S.? Visit freestylelibre.us to learn more. Based on retail sales data for patients' last filled prescription by manufacturer. Refer to the FLAIR NL4 study published in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care 2019. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Welcome to Cocoa Beach, Orlando's closest beach. Don't miss the boat. Cocoa Beach is your getaway to an awesome cruise vacation with a variety of hotels and shuttle packages catering to cruisers. Avoid the rush. Spend some time relaxing while you soak up the sun. Shop a little and enjoy our legendary laid-back beach vibe. So what are you waiting for? Don't miss the boat. Vacation mode starts at Cocoa Beach on Florida's Space Coast, Orlando's closest cruise beach.
Welcome back to Currently with Curator, where I share my latest style obsessions, all of which you can access through my shopping community, Curator. I'm so excited to announce the launch of our newest winter curation. This season, I've selected a handful of products for your winter wardrobe and, of course, your beauty routine that will ensure you're walking into all of your holiday festivities feeling like your absolute best self. There's a faux fur scarf, a metallic woven pouch that doubles as a clutch, and a skincare tool that gives you a professional facial treatment at home. You'll also choose between shimmering gold or gunmetal chandelier earrings, as well as between a cult favorite mascara or hydrating primer. This entire product collection is valued at over $400, but when you sign up to receive my seasonal curations and enter code HEELS25, you can start with the winter box for only $74.99. Visit Curator.com. That's CURATEUR.com to get started today. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Climbing in Heels. This show is all about celebrating the most extraordinary women who will be sharing their incredible journeys to the top, all while staying glamorous. Today with me, we have an incredible fashion designer and creative director known for her bridal, stunning ready-to-wear, and lifestyle brand, Monique Lhuillier. Her story on how she fell in love with her husband and created her own brand along the way is so beautiful and beyond inspiring. 27 years later. Monique is a very dear friend of mine, and I'm so excited to speak with her again and dig in deeper to her story. So let's get started. Okay, my love. So this podcast I started because I have countless superwomen, honestly, in my life who are crushing it, not just in their careers, but like at life in general. And I have watched you, honestly, what feels like most of my adult life, because I feel like we kind of came up together in a way. But I think what's so interesting about you, and since I've met you, there's no one that I can relate to as much who has a CEO that's my husband. And I think you've been together as long as us, which I only know one other couple that's been together as long as Raj and I. So I think your sort of timeline is somewhat similar, but I think for me, I've always been so fascinated by you and what you've built because it's so special. It's like so special. I hate to compare it to like an OB, but like an OB brings babies into the world every day, right? And my friend who my OB, who I'm very close with, Michelle Akaka, she's like, what could be better? What could be a better job than being there for that moment in people's lives? And I think about that for you because you are the biggest part of the biggest moment in a woman's life. And that is such a profound, incredible thing, and not an easy one, in my opinion, to succeed at, right? Because it is a very niche thing, right?
Since I've known you, I feel like, you are such a supportive friend. You really are. And, I do agree with you that I feel like we were in parallel paths because, we started our company. So with our husbands, I mean, the difference is I'm not co-CEO, I'm the creative director and Tom runs the show. You know what I mean? I make sure everything I create is, what I really am inspired by. I'm very proud of the product I put out there. I mean, I hold myself to a really high standard and make sure is it something I'm proud of? Am I moving, the collection forward every season? Am I, filling the needs of my clients? So we really do two different roles. And then the marketing
which
side.
Which is healthy, by the way, which is very healthy.
And from the very beginning, those rules were kind of laid out because I came from fashion school and his background was he was getting his MBA at USC. And so he had definitely the stronger business sense. And then I had the vision. And then together we had the naivety because of being young and in love and me looking for a wedding dress and not finding exactly what I wanted. And then to seeing there's a niche in the marketplace that I think I could fill, and then kind of believing in each other and just going for it. So that's really the foundation of how we started this brand. And we didn't even have a business plan. It was just on a gut instinct, and I can talk about it so calmly now because it's 27 years later, but it was so terrifying.
It's terrifying.
But what you can relate to is if you're going to be in a space like that, who would you rather be with than your soulmate?
Thank you. That's what I always say, because I imagine in every interview you do in your entire career, do they say, what's it like to work with your husband? How do you do that? Right?
Every
not
single
even interview,
one. Just in every conversation.
Everything. By the way, same. I'm at a dinner. How do you work with I'd kill my husband. And I think to your point, listen, I've had a lot of different partners in different areas of businesses. And I can tell you, better than I know anything else, I know that for me and clearly for you, my husband is the best and only partner I could have, because who do you trust more? Who roots for you more? Who can you yell at and then have dinner with more than your husband, right? Like I will yell at Roger about whatever, I don't agree with you on this, and then he'll be like, okay, what time are we getting the kids? What's for dinner, right? It's
it's that balance. And and you can't really explain it, but
no.
I mean, there are tough days and there's good days. And I think, the reason why it's also worked is because we respect each other and we've been growing, through the years. So it's there's so much for everyone to do. So it's harder to step on each other's toes because as the company is growing, there's so many hats you have to wear. So
beyond. And I want to go back because a big part of this podcast is speaking to women that are at the top, how they got there, but the fact that they got there all while staying glamorous. And I say that in a way that you can still embrace the beauty of being a woman and maintain your femininity, own your superpowers, wear a suit if you want, wear a gown if you want, wear a mini dress if you want. But the point of it is that you did do it all. You are doing it all. It's not easy. None of this is easy. And the highs are high and the lows are low. But I think it's important to share with our listeners a bit of the beginning, because it's sort of like, okay, how did it just happen? Because people just know you as Monique Lhuillier. Oh my God, I want to get married in her dress. Oh my God, I want to do this. Oh my God, Monique Lhuillier. Blah, blah, blah. But it's like, how did you happen? And obviously, much blood, sweat, and tears
Well, thank you for that. I mean, hearing from you, who's done it yourself, and in high heels the whole time that I've known you. I wear sneakers nowadays.
Well, of course, as you should. But
go, Rachel. It definitely was not easy. And I mean, just starting from the very beginning, it was like putting my first small collection together.
What happened with 8-year-old Monique? Like what kind of child were you? Were you like an ambitious, like I'm doing because I see you now and I'm like, you were probably exactly the same as a child.
Well, I was very influenced by my mother's sense of style, and she was, elegant, kind, always involved in school, always involved in our family businesses. My father is very entrepreneurial. He didn't have one business. He had multiple businesses. So I grew up seeing that. And they juggled this busy and beautiful life, and they entertained and we traveled. I was raised in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there till I was 14 years old. Mm-hmm. And then I went to boarding school in Switzerland. But as a young child, I would sit in my mother's vanity, watch her get dressed, put her makeup on, her jewelry, and then choose her, gowns or outfits for the evening. And I was really inspired by that. So she was the first style icon that I was exposed to. And then because we lived in the Philippines, we would go to Paris to visit family because my father is French. So we would go every summer to Paris. And I loved the glamour and the fashion that I was exposed to there.
Everything.
And then we would come to Los Angeles because my mother's parents retired here. So then I would come to LA. And so that kind of explains the 3 points in my life. And then I loved fashion at such an early age. When I was 11, 12, it was very customary to go to a local tailor in the Philippines because you couldn't just find it there. And I would say, I want to make this dress. I would like it, to be this length. And I already started creating things, So when I went to high school in Switzerland and graduated, I said I knew I wanted to be in the fashion world. And I moved to Los Angeles and I went to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising.
Amazing.
And, I started there and I didn't even realize what it was going to take because on the first day of school, we were in a pattern making class and they're teaching us how to make patterns, which I really did not know how to do. And they said, okay, next week, bring back your garments. And I'm like, excuse me, so how does it get made? Like, who's going to sew all of this? And they're like, and you are going to make all of that. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know how to sew. So I went straight after class and bought my first sewing machine. And I was, teaching myself how to sew. And it's so important to learn that way because you understand the construction of a garment and the fit of a garment is everything. So that was really the best way of learning and diving into the craft, and then slowly, I was, as the years were progressing, I started specializing in dresses. And then for my final project, I decided to do a wedding scene. Don't ask me why, but I decided to do a wedding scene. So I was the last graduate with my collection. And then shortly after that, I got engaged to my husband and I started looking for a wedding dress. And that's how I stumbled into the bridal business, and at that point it was 1992. And, the big trend was sleek and more simple silhouettes.
I remember.
And then there was the extreme that was really like large sleeves with a lot of lace and beading, and crowns.
Foofy.
And I was like, I found myself caught in the middle. I was like, I was neither that sleek, sophisticated, lean, silhouette bride, and I was not that over the top cupcake kind of girl. So after the search, I decided to start my own collection. So
did you make your own dress?
I did not make my own dress.
Do you wish you did?
During the process, I wish I did because I didn't get my dress till 3 weeks before the wedding. So there was a little stress that was added on to that. But I did make, everyone else's dress in the wedding party. So both mothers of the bride, all the children that were in the wedding party, and I had multiple bridesmaids. So I did all their dresses. And so after that, we began.
That's incredible. And you loved it. Clearly, you were like, this is my calling. This is it.
100%. And, Tom thought it was like the wedding blues, like what's she going to do now after? So he was like, okay, honey, okay. But then I was like, no. I really believe in this. We should go to a first trade show. His parents were like, what? You just got married and now you're going to start a business together? Like, what is wrong with you?
Like, do you have a death sentence?
Right. But you know what? When you're naive, I was 23 years old and almost 24, and we said, let's try. And that's what we did. And I mean, going back to my childhood, I was one of those kids that I had to try my best all the time. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to always please my parents, making sure if I put anything out there, it was the best work I could put out there. And,
that's also your birth sign, my friend. The blessing and curse of being a Virgo. have to be the best. Have to be the best.
Right. And so
do better, do better, do more.
That's it.
Yeah. Do more, do better. I can be better. I can do better. I have to be the best at this. I don't even know. Okay, wait, that one sold out in 5 minutes. Great. Okay, what are we doing next? There's never any patting yourself on the back, right? I mean,
right. And after our first trade show, when we went there and we got a booth and we had our 6 dresses at the time, I had picked up 10 accounts and I was so excited, oh my God, 10 accounts, amazing. And then we were coming home oh my God, now I have to make all those dresses.
Right. How
what
am I
going to do? So anyway, but you know what? You figure it out. And we did one step, and we learned through our mistakes, and just kept pushing forward, and then realized that we had to be in New York more. People could not even say my name. They were like Monique Lhuillier. I don't know how to say that name, and it was really a struggle building something from scratch. I had not worked for a storied house before, so there was really no history of what my vision was. And at the same time, the price point was kind of high because I started in bridal, and that entails so many hours, the details, the beading, the fabric. So to gain people's trust was really hard, to break that door down and get that credibility. So it took tenacity, and we did everything from tape all the boxes, ship everything at UPS ourselves, inspect all those dresses. Everything we did. No job was too small. We were in it 100%, and it was 24/7 our life. And I mean, that's another reason why I think it worked as a couple, because that's all we did. Yeah. We didn't have a social life. It was work. And on the weekends, we would visit stores that carried the collection. So we were at least traveling together, and I had FaceTime with the end consumers, so I could hear if things were working, what needed to change, what they were responding to. So all of that, all together just informed and helped me with the path that we were on.
Well, it's so interesting. So I want to talk about that, because I think a big part of this sort of brand building, it's funny because as I've sort of have launched things over the last, 10 years, 15 years, I would get into meetings and they say, well, you already did the hardest part, which is building your brand. That's the hardest part of it. And I never understood what that meant. I never understood what it meant when someone said the hardest part of building a business and being an entrepreneur is actually building the brand and making people know what that brand is. What does it mean to people, right? And what you were saying was very interesting, because I was thinking as you were talking that most designers, before they start their own, have worked for other designers, right? And have lived in the system or learned from someone. And you learned on the ground. You learned in school. You also learned from watching your mom. You learned from kind of osmosis of growing up around it in terms of your vision. But then in the actual process, you learned at school, and then you went right out, right?
The other thing, Rachel, is that, when we started back in 1996, we were based out of Los Angeles.
Right.
Which it was not like I could apprentice with somebody, because there was no one really doing high-end couture fashion out of Los Angeles. So the only way I would have had that exposure is if we moved to New York, which we were not doing at the time. So we had no choice but to start on our own.
I think it's amazing. It's amazing. It's unconventional in the world of fashion. But I guess what I'm saying is it was so hard. And I think what people always say is it's so glamorous. It's so glamorous. Okay, they look at you and they're like, oh, she's so beautiful. Look at her gowns. Look at her. I remember being on shoots with you. You were in every centimeter of the shoot, of the gowns, of packing product, moving product, putting stuff in your car. And I think that's a thing. It's and I see that so much now to people coming up and starting businesses, and especially in fashion, your hands are going to get dirty. And if you're not willing to get your hands dirty, then don't do it. Because you have to jump in and do everything. Some of the most successful people I know in every business now, they still jump in. They want to touch it. They want to feel it. They want to help anyone who needs the help. And I think the minute you sort of say, no, I'm starting at this level, or I'm already at this level, I don't have to do that anymore. I just think it's a different conversation then. I think it's a different place. And do you know what I mean by that?
Yes. And I think that also really defines when you find your passion, because then you don't mind doing all those things, because you know it's just part of, building the dream, you know, and so you don't even think about it. Now, if you're not sure, then it's you kind of question even your path. Am I doing what I want to be doing? Is this how I want to spend my time? I mean, so there are all those other, doubts. And that's when I would reassess, maybe you're not doing what you want to be, really what your true calling is in life, So
well, okay. So when did you kind of say, okay, I now want to do more than bridal, right? Like, meaning like you're ready to wear your non-bridal collection, which is so beautiful and like gets better every season. It's even more beautiful.
Thank you. Well, when we started in bridal, after 5 years, I wanted to work in color. There was so much more expression that I wanted there, and I wanted the collection to evolve. And I didn't want to stop being there for my woman only on her wedding. I wanted to be there for all the milestones in her life, So that was, the reason why I jumped into ready to wear. And the thing is, in evening wear, and being based in Los Angeles, stylists recognized that, and they started calling and putting the dresses on celebrities. And at the same time, in 2000, we decided to open our own retail, first flagship store. I remember. Which was incredible, because now it put us out there and people knew where to come and get the collection, see the entire collection. It was also exciting that as soon as we did that, Neiman Marcus picked up my first ready-to-wear collection in its first season. So all of a sudden we were getting validation from, the major retailers and stylists like yourself, like put my brand and my collection on high-profile people. And all of a sudden the marketing and the awareness just started, you know what I mean? And when we started, we didn't even think of that arm. We were just focused on the product, and then to see all of that coming together and working so beautifully together, it empowered us to keep going, and then after being in the lives of our women, not only for their birthdays and their weddings, it was like once they get married, they're starting their homes. What do their homes look like? Which is how I stepped into the lifestyle and home space. And now I've been working with Pottery Barn for maybe 10 years now. And
it's unbelievable.
The kids collection, what the rooms look like, to the teen collection, and to mainline Pottery Barn. It's like, what do you register for? All of that. And it all works beautifully together. And, I have a mood board behind me.
I know, it's so beautiful. I'm staring at it. I'm like, I really want to get married again. Roger will not get married to me again.
Oh, he will.
He will, but he won't do vows. Like he won't do the I do part again. He's like, I said it once 25 years ago. Things are great. And I feel like the minute I say it again, things are going to go south.
Well, he's going to call me the minute you say you're ready again.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I think, honestly, in this day and age, anxiety is pretty much a part of everyone's life in some way or another. I've had anxiety. I'm pretty sure most of my friends live with some form of anxiety, big or small. It doesn't matter. It's actually just your own sort of experience with anxiety. And I'm pretty sure we all have it in some form or another. And there's all different extremes. But I would say whether it's you're overwhelmed by your work schedule, whether you're a working parent and you're constantly trying to figure out that work-life balance, anxiety can affect your overall health, your sleep, and everything else. I mean, navigating any of life's challenges can definitely make you feel kind of all over the place. It doesn't matter whether it's a career change, a new relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, becoming a new parent. These are all the things that excite us, but also definitely overwhelm us. therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of these challenges that, I know for one, keep me awake at night, wake me up in the morning, definitely disrupt my sleep, and really just help you learn productive coping skills, because that's really what it comes down to, is how to cope with one's anxiety. BetterHelp has connected over 3 million people with licensed therapists. It's so incredibly convenient and accessible anywhere because it's 100% online, so it could not be easier. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It could not be any simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/heals. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/heals.
So, but you can see like the aesthetic runs through everything I touch.
Totally.
So whether it's for the home collections or now like I do jewelry as well, it's like there is no, a wedding without the ring. So like it's not, I'm painting the whole picture and the whole story, and it feels so incredibly fulfilling because
it's the fairy tale.
Yes. And then what I like to do is I like to now take the collections on inspiring locations so people can really see the dream, and those trips inspire me for next collection. So it's all it all works beautifully and seamlessly together.
If you could name one, which I'm sure there are several, but if you could name sort of the moment in your career that either had the biggest impact on you or really changed the game for Monique Lhuillier.
Well, I had several along the way, and that's what kept us going.
Of course.
So when Neiman Marcus Group and Bergdorf Goodman carried the collection heavily in all their stores, and even Saks Fifth Avenue, that was very validating for me as a designer, and we had to ramp up our production and we do everything in-house. So that our team just grew exponentially. Yep. And so that was a, big moment for us. But also in 2004, when we were only in business for like 7 years, like when Britney Spears wore us for her wedding, we had multiple people at the Emmys.
I remember that.
It was like a moment where there was a lot of our name and a lot of exposure. So that was another big moment. And then, recently in 2019 for the Emmys, we had dressed 8 women in one night.
I saw that. I texted you.
Which is unheard of. I texted you. And I didn't even know.
Oh, I lost my mind.
I didn't even know till the moment as it was happening. I'm like, oh, that one worked too. Because as you know, Rachel, because you are an incredible stylist and board, you never know what happens. So I think going into the evening, I knew I had 1 or 2 confirmed. But still, when they say confirmed, it can go the other way. But as soon as those 2 hit the carpet, I was like, and here's another one. And it just didn't stop. And my phone was blowing up because people were calling from everywhere and saying, wait, you're dominating the carpet. I've never seen this before. And for me, that was a big moment in my career.
That was such a moment for you. I totally remember now that you're saying it. It was just before the pandemic.
But Rachel, those are the highlights, but there were a lot of like hard things that came up along the way. I mean, we will never forget 2008 when, the stock market crashed and it was just really tough times and people were not really dressing up and spending their money differently. And so that was tough on us as a business. We had to weather that storm. And, Tom and I, till this day, we have not taken any investments. So we are, we run a really tight ship and moments like that are tough, and we pushed through. And then recently when COVID hit and the world did not need anything that I designed, aside from my home collections, everything was on pause. And that was a scary moment, and we took that time and we reflected and regrouped. And now I'm happy to say our teams are stronger. We are leaner, but we are so focused, what I mean? And we never missed a wedding, a milestone for anybody, even when we were like pretty much closed during COVID, when somebody decided that they wanted to still have an intimate wedding, we pulled out all the stops to make those fittings happen. We delivered dresses to the most remote places, and we worked it all out. And so I think we're stronger than ever. And, tough times like that, it brings out the best in you. You know what I mean? And now I think we weathered those two hardships. And I think now we're just looking for even a more exciting time ahead, with more stores that are planned to be opened and new territory. So it's so
interesting, because I was going to ask you that, because I think the thing that we all experience as entrepreneurs is, and I'll say it a 1,000 times over, the highs are the highest, the lows are the lowest. They really are. And there's no one to go to in that moment and say, okay, help me. Do you have an answer? Like, help me, crystal ball. There isn't. And I think that's the thing. When you're the CEO or your husband's the CEO, when it stops at you, it's like, yes, there's great parts of that, but it's also terrifying because there's no one to turn to when you need that, like, okay, tell me what to do now. You just got to figure it out. And it stops there. And that's why I always say not everyone is cut out for this type of business. And that is 1,000% okay. And I say that all the time. My sister and I, as close as we are, she doesn't want to be the CEO. They even if they offer it to her, she'd say no. She doesn't want it to stop at her. And I think that that's completely normal, fine. It's to each their own. But I would say to you, I was going to ask you, have there been, which I know the answer, times where you just go, okay, I'm done. I can't. I don't know how to get out of this. I don't know. Like, I need to just stop, right? And like rethink this, pause, and just go, like, even though you knew you were going to continue, did you ever just go, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. Did you ever do that?
I have never done that.
Good.
And even when times were tough, I knew inside that, I think it's also with wisdom, like in age and maturity, you just know that, things will be better and things will fall into place if you're like doing the best that you can, you know what I mean? And, like the other thing we haven't talked about is, when you're juggling all these things and trying to start a family at the same time, that also adds a whole other layer of how do you do that well while maintaining all of this, and I have to say to the young entrepreneur starting, I mean, it's all about the team that you put together.
Yes.
I have some of most incredible people that stand behind me, and some of them have been with me 20 years, some of them, 16, like it's a long standing community that we have. And I couldn't have done it without them, and grateful every day.
Every day. And but I do think you're right. And I think, I know for Roger and I, whether in the pandemic or through various different like highs and lows, it's like you're forced to be smarter. You're forced to kind of like make better, more careful decisions, that when all things are great and going up and you're in like growth and fast and everything's amazing, you don't really pay as much attention to some of the things you either may not need, you may not need to be doing, you're spending too much time on, there's too much team on, all those things. And so to your point, it's like, okay, you're leaner, but you're probably more focused and more efficient and in weird ways more productive and forced to make probably better decisions ultimately.
100%. And we're also more nimble. You know what I mean? Like as a business owner, you have to like pivot when times when you need to. And it's funny, I was having a conversation with one of the team members yesterday who's in town from New York. And we were like, we're all working smarter these days. Yeah. And as a business owner, you're solving problems all day long.
All day.
But we're making it work. You know what I mean? And I'm excited about what's coming next. And so I feel like the hard times are behind. Yep. And another thing that I also feel was integral to where we're at is that as we were growing, we partnered with the right companies along the way. You know what I mean? Like, so like my lifestyle collection with Pottery Barn, they've been such a great partner. All of those things make up for the big picture. Now with my K Jeweler collections, they're such a solid partner, and they see the vision, and they're very authentic with what I put out, the collections I love. And so it's partners like that really make a difference.
Well, yeah, because I think, let's talk about that for a second, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, as they build their businesses or their brands, a thing you can get lost in is partnerships, right? Bad ones and great ones. And I think that the importance of a great partner and the value of a great partner, it's like, it's indescribable to have a great partner. When I've seen both sides, I'm here to say, I've done both. And I can tell you, there's so much gratitude for a great partner who actually lets you do what you do, right? And embraces your talent and lets you do what you do. And like Pottery Barn is, and as you said, K Jewelers, I mean, they get the magic of Monique. I mean, that's why they partnered with you.
100%. They respect the vision, and it's like, we're proud of everything that we put out there, and it's authentic. And it's seamless, because I like you have along the way, a lot of exciting opportunities can come, and sometimes there's so much on the plate and it's exciting, but you can't go by excitement and just because it's an easy opportunity. It has to be really authentic. I keep saying that, and it's not it's not about the money. It's not. No. It's about if you really do think that it would work with your vision. Yeah. So even like editing out what you can do is important.
Another question I get asked a lot, and I imagine you get asked every day, is how do you have all of these children, meaning your 2 actual children and your business? And how do you find that struggle? Because I like to say no day is the same, and you can't predict how it's going to go. But how do you find that pull still hard as your kids are older now?
Well, I find that my kids, I always thought when they were little, it's like little issues. So I can't go for pickup and they'll be fine.
Right.
And all that, because I need to be other places at a certain time. 3:00 was just very hard for me. Yep. So I was okay with missing pickups. I would do drop-offs. And now they're a little more independent because, they're 16 and 13, but I do feel like they need me in other ways. So I can't just, get on a plane and travel, even if I feel like that could be a great inspirational trip for me. I can't do that. I have to balance it out. So maybe I'll do it like when they have a break and then we all go. So that's how I compromise. It's up there. I always say I have 3 children. I have my 2 kids and the business. And the business always needs something. And, we wake up early and we really try to organize ourselves and be very efficient. But
oh my God,
Monique. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new day.
There's so many common threads because they speak to such incredible women. And I have to say, like, I do think that the question that people have for people like you and some of these incredible women that I speak to is sort of like, oh, you make it look so easy. You make it look so effortless. Oh my God, how do you have it all figured out? I don't think any of us really have it figured out, right? I mean, do you feel like you have it figured out? I don't think we have it figured out. We just do it.
I don't think we have it figured out. I don't think about it so much. I just do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm like,
exactly.
I try to be there as much as I can. And I feel like I'm very present in my kids' lives. And then when I have to travel or be in New York for things, and they understand Mommy's doing this, and then we FaceTime and, I keep them very much in the loop. And at the same time, raising my children, I like to show them through example of how hard we work, because it's, once my kids graduate and go to college, the launch is so hard, you know what I mean? So I want to show them through example, like we struggle, and every day is a different day. And Dad and I put a lot of time into our business and I think about that. And so I think even like in the future, we're working on, a mentorship program in our company because Amazing. I feel like, I'd like to be able to help the younger generations just to show them that if they want to be in fashion, it's not all that glamorous. There's a lot of hard work that goes behind it. And so, that was one thing I didn't have access to, mentorship. So I'd like to be able to fix that and and help some other fashion dreamers in the future. And so that's something we're currently working on. And I also, raising a young girl, I feel like, I make these dresses to help women feel confident in the most beautiful version of themselves. Yep. And I see young girls, struggle with body image already at such a young age, you know what I mean? And so I just like to feel like I'm inspiring them, and beauty does not come only in one look and one size.
Sure doesn't.
And one of there's beauty comes in so many different ways. And so I'm learning also from the younger generation, see how they're dressed and how do I appeal with my designs to that generation. So it all is intertwined, you know what I mean? And I'm just so blessed to still love what I do.
You're just so impressive, Monique, in so many ways. And it's so funny. Everybody's like, what's Monique like? Because when I meet people that are like, oh my God, I want to wear one of her dresses. I'm like, and if you knew her, you'd want to wear it even more, because she is what she does. And everything about your brand is so authentic to you. And I think my last question for you, because I could ask you 600, would be like, what's the dream? I know you're living it in a lot of ways, but do you ever think, and I know for people like us, for Virgos especially, it's hard to see past today, because but do you ever just like go to sleep at night knowing you're blessed, knowing it's hard, knowing all these things, but you just go 10 years, 20 years, like this is you know what I mean? Do you ever have that moment?
Well, right now we do have a clear and present path in front of us. We really would like to focus on international growth, just to continue building worldwide. We've done it here locally. We're based in the USA, and this is our core market, but we see an opportunity in the rest of the world. And I was raised in Asia, lived in Europe, and I feel like there's a little bit of a calling back to come and not ignore those markets, and the time is right. And so that's what I'm excited about, and just seeing us touch more women around the world. I'm also pinching myself because I didn't dream to be doing this in this scale. I was dreaming about putting beautiful dresses out there and getting that creativity out there. And I just, to see what the potential is and what it's already become in the last 26 years it gives me fuel to want to do more. Do I think I'll ever retire? I don't think I'll ever retire, but I will slow down and probably have more personal time. But I need an outlet for the creativity.
Sure.
I just, when I go places, I'm like, sketch on a pad, or I think like, oh my God, for my next season, it's going to be like it just can't, I can't stop, so.
No, it's true. I've always said for the last 20 something years, I'm like, end goal, sitting on a beach outside the Hotel du Cap, making jewelry on the beach. Like that's like, I have some vision of this. I'm sure I'll be doing another 20 jobs on the side for creativity, for fun, just because I have to, different than what we're doing now, but I think about those things. I mean, do you hope ever, do you kind of secretly wish, or do you not care at all if either of your children come into the business? Do you think about that?
I think about that, and I ask them because sometimes they do come on the shoots with us.
I'm sure
it coincides with our family
trips,
holidays.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I just want to see if they're interested.
Sure.
At the moment, they're not, but
you never know.
Them, like, why don't you take some social media pictures, And then I'm like, if we use them, we'll even pay you for the image. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Just to bring them in, and they're like, they get into it for like an hour, and they're like, oh no, and then, those shoots are like 11-hour days, and they're like, we'll be blocking up. So a mom can dream, but at the same time, they'll only be successful if it's something they love to do.
1,000%, yes.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But hey, there's still
my fingers are crossed, and my bet is one out of the two will end up in it somewhere, is my guess. But they are teenagers now, so it's a little hard to predict anything.
Right. If my daughter has her way, she's like, Mom, can you start doing streetwear? Like, why is everything so fancy? Why is everything? I'm like, oh my gosh. And all her girlfriends are now having their bar mitzvahs, and then they're wearing us. I'm like, okay. So it's
yes, I love that. She should be so proud of that. Skylar the other day was like, I dressed them for Temple for the holiday. And we as we were walking in, about 10 people, like just, adults, just stopped the boys. And they said, well, aren't you such well-dressed little gentlemen? And Sky looked at me and he gave me this like wink. And I go, someday you'll understand that mommy might know what she's doing here. We hope, Monique. We hope, but it's perfect. Okay. We hope.
They're always perfect.
Listen, happy and healthy, and we hope that it rubs off on them. Just something that like work ethics, we try, right? And because they have 2 young boys, I think for right now and for the last, 8, 11 years now, they call me Queen Mommy, So it's sort of like mommy's glamorous, mommy gets dressed. She dresses us up like when it matters because they're in uniform for school. Mm-hmm. And then I just go, listen, 5 out of 7 days, you guys are in school clothes. When we're going somewhere, can you wear what mommy likes, And they do. They're so good about it. Skylar, like, as soon as he sees his friends, will like take it off and put on a hoodie. I go, Mom. I'm like, okay, fine. I love you. But they're thankfully for now, they're still sweet and delicious. I hope it stays. But
they will stay that way. They will stay that way.
I hope so.
Yeah, I can say my son is the same personality. That little boy that you saw on the airplane. Remember when?
Yes, of course.
We were headed
the
to
sweetest
New York,
children. The sweetest
and he
children.
came running at you, and he has the same personality now at 16. So.
That's what we hope for. Keep them kind. Keep them sweet. All right. Well, I love you madly. Just watching your journey from almost the beginning, I feel like, to now is just incredible. And I feel like you are just on top of your game. Just post-pandemic, everyone's getting married. Everybody's getting dressed up. And I love to see it. And I'm just cheering for you.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for having me today and for your friendship, your support.
I love you.
Always.
You too. I love you. Send my love to Tom. Okay, everybody. It's time for Ask Rachel. And this week, I'll start with the first question, which is, what staples should be in every man's closet? It's funny. I've actually never been asked that question before. But I would say definitely the classics, like a really good pair of dark wash polished jeans that they can dress up if need be. A good pair of black or brown ankle boots or both. I would say some kind of version of a driving loafer that you can wear with or without socks, dress up or wear casually. Obviously, a pair of sneakers. And I would say a blazer that you can wear a t-shirt or a sweater under, or a button up and a tie if need be. And of course, a few suits that are tailored and actually fit well, because I actually find the biggest challenge for men, at least from where I sit, is that their clothes don't fit them properly because they're too lazy to get them altered and they just are ill-fitting. So I think a really good black, brown, charcoal, navy, pinstripe, any of these versions of a blazer are great for a guy. And of course, a casual jacket that they can throw on with a t-shirt or a sweater or polo shirt anytime. What is my favorite moisturizer? Okay. I am actually a skin hydration junkie, very admittedly. I have so many different versions of moisturizers, like night moisturizers, morning moisturizers, lightweight moisturizers, oil-free moisturizers, extra anti-aging moisturizers, cell renewal moisturizers, serums. I would have to say my current favorites would be Barbara Sturm Overnight Cream. It's incredible. I wake up with my skin really hydrated and very tight and firm, which I really like when you wake up in the morning. And then I also really love U Beauty Hydration, Super Hydration Moisturizer. It really does last throughout the whole day. I love to wear it under my makeup because I absolutely hate when my skin gets dry during the day. It's like my number one beauty peeve. Don't forget to submit your questions for next week's episode. All you have to do is DM us your questions to @ClimbingInHeelsPod on Instagram, and I might just answer your question. Okay, so Monique and I go way back. We have so many similarities. I mean, we really kind of were building our careers at the same time, brick by brick, actually. And I love the fact that, you know, she also works with her husband. And, you know, it's funny, there aren't that many people I know that do work with their husbands, but I do love how kind of forthcoming she was. Like, I'm the creative director, he's the CEO, and that's as it should be, because that's what I want to do and that's what he wants to do. That's my background and that's his background. And I think, you know, for our listeners, I think that's a great takeaway. Kind of know your strengths and really empower your partner to sort of balance you out. Also, as we mentioned, we both get asked very often sort of how on earth do you work with your husband? And, you know, the truth is we do and can't imagine it any other way. And there's, you know, highs and lows to that. But Monique is so fascinating. She's so driven. She's just really a very smart, witty, and just a real like girl's girl. She's a real girlfriend. She's amazing. Anyway, I hope you enjoy listening as much as I did. I thank you so much for listening to Climbing in Heels. And please don't forget to write a review wherever you get your podcast, because I love to see them. While you're at it, follow me on @RachelZoe and @Climbing in Heels Pod on Instagram for more updates on upcoming guests, episodes, and all things Curator. I'll talk to you next week.
Does money stress you out? Let Facet flip your financial chaos into clarity.
Finding Facet immediately put us at ease.
Facet's innovative approach to financial planning ensures your money works as hard as you do, enabling members to experience the joys of having your finances in order.
And that makes us Facet for life now, I guess.
Visit Facet.com, FACET.com to learn more. This ad is sponsored by Facet. Facet Wealth is an SEC registered investment advisor. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor is it investment, legal, or tax advice. These testimonials are from current Facet members who are not compensated. All opinions are their own and not a guarantee of a similar outcome.
Cocoa Beach, Orlando's closest beach, is also Florida's coolest beach. Bring your surfboard. Cocoa Beach is the surf capital of the East Coast, and we have the surf shops to prove it. Plus coffee shops, beachside bars, and restaurants. Wide open beaches make way for beach volleyball, cruiser bikes, kite surfing, shell seeking, surf fishing, and more. It's legendary. Plan your getaway from the everyday by checking out legendarycocobeach.com on Florida's Space Coast.
Did you know that 1 in 8 kids in Atlanta will go hungry tonight? Eating healthy, balanced meals is essential for kids to learn and grow. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield and education nonprofit Common Threads have teamed up to help schools learn about healthier food preparation. In Atlanta, they're joined by The Dream and will provide education, recipes, and knowledge to students and families about healthier options. Visit anthem.com/dream to learn more. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Plan of Georgia, Inc.